William Rehnquist, once dated Sandra Day O'Connor, who is lying in state as we speak. Yeah, Chief Justice Rehnquist and Sandra Day O'Connor attended Stanford Law at the same exact time back in the 1950s. Apparently, they shared a lot more than just notes. They became lovers. Rehnquist more so than Sandra Day. Rehnquist fell madly in love with Sandra Day O'Connor while they were dating at Stanford Law, and he proposed marriage. This is true. And Sandra Day O'Connor rejected William Rehnquist. Instead, she went on to marry another Stanford Law graduate named John O'Connor. 25 years later, Ronald Reagan nominated Sandra Day O'Connor to sit on the bench. By that time, William Hubbs Rehnquist was already an associate justice on that very same court. He was soon to be appointed Chief Justice. At the time, he was just an associate justice. To his credit, Hubbs, that's what Bill Rehnquist's friends called him, Hubbs. I don't know if that's true, but his middle name was Hubbs, and I like to think that's what the people close to Rehnquist called him, Hubbs. The same way people I'm close to call me Beauregard, because that's my middle name, Beauregard. As per my grandfather's request, I was named David Beauregard Feldman. Nobody in our family was ever named Beauregard, but my grandfather loved the name Beauregard because he always wanted to own slaves. He was a bad guy, my grandfather. Anyway, Hubbs, that would be Billy Rehnquist, to his credit, could have called Ronald Reagan and said, "Don't appoint Sandra Day O'Connor, she broke my heart, and it will be awkward having her strutting around the Supreme Court in those tight-fitting robes of hers. I won't be able to concentrate. And more importantly, it's not just me, her reasoning is not sound. She's illogical." For example, he could have said to Ronald Reagan, "Don't appoint her. She doesn't have a great legal mind." I laid out a convincing case for why she should marry me, and she rejected it. I said, "Defend your ruling. Why are you rejecting my line of reasoning?" And she said she didn't possess feelings for me. Feelings. Point by point, I eviscerated the thrust of her argument. I established her response of not wanting to marry me was wide off the mark. And a lot of my friends concurred that I substantiated without any shadow of a doubt that she did, in fact, have feelings for me, but she still refused to concede my argument despite all evidence to the contrary. So I honestly think Sandra Day O'Connor lacks the judicial temperament to sit on the highest court of the land. That's what Hubbs was thinking of telling Ronald Reagan, but to his credit, he bit his lip and didn't say that. He decided what's past is past, and nobody told anyone that William Rehnquist and Sandra Day O'Connor were lovers and that she broke his heart. And the two of them served on the court. And this was kept secret during William Rehnquist's entire tenure on the court for fear that Walter Matthau and Glenda Jackson would try to do a sitcom based on their lives. The love between Sandra Day and Hubbs, we dare not say its name, That love was never revealed until Hubbs passed away. Nobody knew about it. The same way nobody ever found out about Samuel Alito and former Attorney General Bill Barr and their J. Edgar Hoover, Clyde Tolson thing they've got going on. The point I'm making is, and this is a very important point, stop Googling Bill Rehnquist and Sandra Day O'Connor. Everybody's Googling to find out. They think I'm making it up. The point I'm making is that had Sandra Day O'Connor married Hubbs, Billy Rehnquist, she never would have been asked to sit on the Supreme Court. This is true. This is absolutely true. The U.S. Code, Title V, Chapter 31, has very specific rules regarding federal officials working with loved ones. It's generally frowned upon. I'm pretty certain it was against the law for President Trump to hire Ivanka and Jared. But the great thing about breaking every single law in the United States Criminal Code, anything short of mass murder is perceived as a misdemeanor.